So Fallen, the song Fallen. Did you know anybody that worked in Dallas or?
I know people in Dallas. I did not know any of those officers. But I found out after the fact that the DART officer Thompson actually followed me and knew who I was and
Oh
listened to my
wow.
music.
Okay.
So I was there in Dallas after the incident. And we were in a restaurant and I actually got approached by one of his partners and said, "Hey, I just want to let you know that he really loved your music." And I was like, "Oh shit. Like that's crazy."
Yeah, that would be a, I mean, that would be a hard one to take like that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, that was a rough night. I remember that night.
Yeah.
Cause I was in Odessa, Texas, which is about 5 hours away, 6 hours away from Dallas. But I mean, it just reached to us. It was like my first week working at Odessa. I don't work at Odessa anymore, so I can talk about it. And that's where I went to the police academy. And the next day I remember walking in and it was just a normal day. Nobody really said anything about it. It was just like you put it between your head and your cap, man. You just
Right.
put it back there. That way you don't think about it. But
Yeah.
I remember that was my first night with my wife being like, oh shit, like that could be my husband, you know? And I went and listened to the SWAT radio to the whole night. I was invested, and so I loved that song, man. That's a powerful song. And
Yeah.
I think it touched a lot of people. I know it reached a lot of people. And
Yeah.
I was just curious on if you knew anybody, because you don't get artists that make individual songs like that very often.
Yeah, and so with Fallen, I think, obviously, like you said, that was a terrible evening, and I remember vividly where I was. I was working when it happened, and I remember us getting messages on the computer from dispatch like, "Hey, just FYI, 5 officers down in Dallas. Keep vigilant because we don't know if this is a planned, orchestrated thing countrywide." And I remember that feeling, and my wife, likewise, who's also in law enforcement, was not working that night. So she was at home watching the news, and of course
Yeah.
her mind starts going. And so she's calling me and she's crying and she's upset and I'm upset. And it was hurtful. It was very hurtful because to me, it was the first taste of hate against law enforcement.
Yeah.
Um,
Like a hard taste. We had small things that we deal with all the time, but that was like
Sure.
an active, like,
yeah.
attack.
That people don't like cops and that cops get killed all the
All
time,
the time.
right? Unfortunately, that's been something for generations. But that was the first, like, wow, like we've reached a pivoting point in this country of open violence against law enforcement, and
It was
as a
organized. It was
musician-
like an organized attack. Like it was.
yeah, yeah, and as a musician, raw emotion makes the best music, and I remember needing to get that out. And I sat down and I had that entire song written in 45 minutes.
Wow. Oh, that's a great song,
It
man.
was just pure emotion. So yeah, no, I appreciate that because I listen to that song and I still feel the same. It takes me right back to that moment. And
I'm gonna
that's
tell
why I
you,
included Chief talking in the song and all those things because it encompasses everything.
every year, whenever the anniversary comes around, I always post their badges, and it's always got your song over it because that's the only song that really touches it and has the emotion of it. I mean, it's really good.
Yeah, and what I like too that I was able to do with that is not specifically tailor it to that incident, but in general law enforcement. But there's small nuances like the chief in the beginning talking, the album artwork. If you notice, it's 5 blue roses in the bundle, one for each officers. So those kind of things. But it's timeless when it comes to supporting law enforcement, and that's another goal of an artist too, is to make music that's timeless.
Yeah, it does. That song really, if you're listening to it, if you didn't know that was the chief and you were listening to it, it's really a broad statement of that it's attack on law enforcement. But then you have that one line in there, "I do this for Dallas," and it's like, oh, hey, this is for something, but it reaches everything. So yeah, that's a great lyrically made song.
Thank you.